Hello there, a very good evening. Welcome to Rupavahini News. I'm Chamindi Samarasekara.
Hello there, good evening and a warm welcome indeed. I'm in Rajai Surya. We start off with a look at the headlines for tonight.
On to those and other stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena says the present-day scholars have a great responsibility for future victories of the motherland. He added that more scholars in the country should be created in order to show the nation's greatness to the whole world. The President was speaking at the graduation ceremony of General Sir John Kothawala Defence University at the BMICH in Colombo today. "708 graduates have confirmed degrees and postgraduate degrees of Defence University for the year 2016. President Maithripala Sirisena presented awards for graduates and those who have excelled in several courses including medicine, engineering, law, management, battle studies and space science. Awards were also presented to excellent cadets of the year in Army, Air Force and Navy. Addressing the ceremony, President Maithripala Sirisena said that the main task for us to show our excellence and greatness among the great nations in the world to create more scholars in the country. The specialty of the Kothawala Defence University is the creating of scholars with discipline and determination, which is essential for international arena. He noted that the knowledge and excellence of Kothawala Defence University graduates is considered as future victories of our country. Everyone of this country has a responsibility for nation's future and for this great motherland's tomorrow. As a defence academy, this institution is creating qualified persons in all fields including regional and national security. Parents have personal hopes of their children who are being conferred degrees at this graduation ceremony. The government and the whole nation have great hopes on these graduates as they have to look after the future of the nation. This responsibility is vested in everyone, including the graduates of Kothawala Defence University, he said.
කටයුතු කිරීමේ වගකීම සහ යුතුයකම සෑම විටම ඔබට පැවරෙනවා.
Vice Chancellor of the Defence University, Rear Admiral Jagat Kulasinghe, presented a memento to the President. Ministers Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena, Defence Secretary Karunasen Hettiarachchi, commanders of 3 armed forces and Chancellor of the University, Admiral Daya Sandagiri, graced the occasion.
And in other local stories, Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne says the Cabinet of Ministers has decided to appear on behalf of the Prime Minister if a no-confidence motion on the bond issue is moved in Parliament. He made this observation when he addressed a weekly Cabinet news briefing in Colombo today. Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne noted that there was no indication whatsoever in the COPE report on the involvement of the Premier in the bond transaction. The chairman of COPE, MP Sunil Hadunetti, has clearly stated that this problem will not crop up if these bonds are auctioned according to the directions given by the Premier. Similar irregularities were reported during the former President's regime. This was not the first time such an irregularity took place in this country. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has given 600 million rupees to tigers from RADA. The hedging deal was reported when former President Rajapaksa was holding the finance ministerial portfolio and no action was taken against Asanta Dimel, who was directly involved in the hedging incident. Not even ministers had to face any charges, he said. No legal action or financial analysis has been carried out at the time, and under the present setup, the Speaker was given the report to take legal action and to file a case against persons involved in the bond issue. State Finance Institute has been vested with the task of presenting a complete report on this matter. The Prime Minister has informed the Attorney General's Department to take prompt action, and these actions have not been taken by former President in the face of corrupt practice. During the hedging investigation of the Attorney General's Department has not been given the file to take necessary action and file a case against perpetrators during the previous regime. He asked as to whether any legal action had been taken during the RADA deal. The Greek bond issue of $30 billion was greater than the present treasury bond matter, and no action has been taken against persons involved in the Greek bonds. RADA has given 600 million rupees to Tigers, but no action was taken at that point. But at present, we are taking necessary action against those who are responsible for any irregularity. We are waiting till the moving of the no-confidence motion in Parliament. If they point one finger on us, then 25 fingers will be pointed against them, he said. We will stand together with the Prime Minister. He asked journalists as to whether they are suggesting they stand with the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Cabinet of Ministers are with the Premier, and there was a decision of the Cabinet. The media wants to involve the Prime Minister into this matter, and no such indication is in the COPE report. He asked as to whether the media had reported on persons who were responsible for giving RADA money to Tigers. Media personnel have been given the freedom to highlight these incidents. At present, he said.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says one of the government's policies is to protect the supremacy of law. He made this disclosure when he addressed a media conference at Sirikotha UNP headquarters in Sri Javardhanapura Kotte today. The Prime Minister handed over the appointment letter to Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca as the new United National Party organizer of Kalani electorate. He also expressed his views on COPE report relating to the central bank treasury bond issue. He added that our only victory was the central bank and COPE report. There were several charges against the central bank during the previous regime. Stock market pumping and dumping and many other massive frauds were kept under the carpet. Before commencing investigations into these corrupt practices, an accusation had been levelled on the making of this appointment. He asked as to what action is going to be taken if Mahinda Rajapaksa is in power. Everything will be kept under the carpet during Rajapaksa regime. If there is a person to hit like Ekneligoda, when such a person will definitely get the plight of Ekneligoda. But as a good governance, we will investigate into the first accusation against us. COPE chairman was appointed by the UNP. But the previous government and the one before it took measures to appoint a person from the ruling party as the chairman of COPE. But we have not done so. JVP MP Sunil Handunetti has been appointed as the COPE chairman. He was given the task to carry out the COPE activities and to complete the bond investigation as soon as possible. The committee has empowered to find out as to what law had been violated. It is essential to implement the rule of law properly. The whole government headed by President Maithripala Sirisena is committed for this purpose. They were trying to highlight the COPE incident as the biggest fraud in the world. They were shouting as they want to cover their nudity. Political victimization was the order during Rajapaksa regime.
තමන්ට විරුද්ධව තියෙන නඩුව ඒක දේශපාලන ඵල කියන්නේ. මම අහන්නේ හොරා වෙන මොනවද කියන්නේ? නිර්වත වහගන්න නේද කෑ ගහන්නේ?
Newly appointed UNP Kalani organizer Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca said that leaders who were shedding crocodile tears for war heroes have made statements claiming that those heroes are being victimized under the present regime. The stooges of those leaders were responsible for dragging out army commander and putting him into jail. 35 most senior officers of the army had been chased away by the previous government. Persons who were responsible for treating soldiers in such a manner are now making statements on behalf of war heroes. He added that majority of war heroes are with the present government. Following the media conference, a group of UNP representatives of Kalani electorate warmly welcomed their new organizer, Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says one of the main aims of the 2017 budget is to strengthen the country's economy whilst easing the debt burden on the people. He was speaking at the annual general meeting of the Association of Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka in Colombo yesterday. The 14th annual general meeting of the occasion of the Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka is now being held in Colombo under the theme of the task of accountants in the process of digitization. The main aim of the conference is to exchange expertise on accountancy and relevant fields. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was the chief guest at the inauguration ceremony, and addressing the gathering, he noted that the future vision of the government is to desist from presenting a budget based on debt.
One of the main promises we made at the last election, we will not have your children paying and your grandchildren paying this national debt. We will sort it out ourselves. And in these 5 years, we are going to set it straight. So within a decade, I hope we will not have to be burdened with a debt. We ourselves we have to pay a part, we'll have to pay the debt, but let's earn the money and pay the debt. Every cent we borrow finally comes out of your purse. We have to pay for it. If not enough, your children will have to pay, and your grandchildren. So we are keeping the budget deficit at 4.7%, or reduce it further, but increase the money available. But it's a budget which means value for money. So the more money we release, smaller the debt, the more money we are going to release to the private sector.
Minister Harin Fernando delivered the keynote address at the AAT annual general meeting. He outlined the future actions that will be followed by Sri Lanka in the process of digitization. The meeting ended today.
The role of digitalization being adapted into accountancy as well. I always used to say this at all my most...
There we are, a token of appreciation to the Honourable...
The ambassador of Denmark in Sri Lanka, Peter Taxe Jensen, says the present government has taken measures to ensure Sri Lanka's economic and democratic process. Addressing a ceremony in Colombo today, he said that his country is willing to support the country's positive development. A two-day event titled Danish Days in Sri Lanka of Seeking Business Opportunities in the Island was inaugurated in Colombo today. Delegates of 15 leading firms in Denmark are participating at the event. The main interests of the delegation are water, energy, infrastructure. Danish ambassador in Sri Lanka, Peter Jensen, noted that Sri Lankan people and businesses could enjoy real economic benefits as a result of positive changes in the country.
The government of Sri Lanka is working hard to ensure the democratic and economic development of this country so that businesses and citizens are able to enjoy the real economic potential of this great country. Denmark wishes to support this positive development. Democratic reforms have a positive impact on the inflow and investments by large foreign investors who require democratic stability as well as political and economic predictability. I have the utmost admiration and respect for the progress that the Sri Lankan government has achieved already, and I think the Danish days that we are having now is a testament to that fact. Our two countries, Denmark and Sri Lanka, have a long history of cooperation. And now I hope we can open a new chapter of bilateral cooperation. Denmark's Honorary Consul that we have here today in Colombo, along with my embassy in New Delhi, intend to try to expand so that the commercial ties between our two countries get much stronger.
We have started a robust development program in the country. So I think this month we are starting, and within about 3 years we are hoping to finish the port city as well. Very ambitious plans. So on this foundation we have started negotiating for trade agreements with India, China, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia and other countries also. This is the first phase. This gives us a huge advantage with development, with new technology. Maritime industries have developed, land transportation has developed, and air transportation also have developed. So unlike those days, now we have 3 modes of transportation, so this can be a very important hub in the Asian region. Sri Lanka could be the gateway to South Asia, so that we will make a friendly environment for the investor, that FDIs and the exporters would be encouraged. So whilst doing this, free trade agreements with, especially with China and India, gives us a huge advantage and access to almost half of the world population. And along with the fisheries ban lifted, we have another venture that Denmark could be interested. And then the GSP, we're working on the GSP Plus, and if we get the GSP Plus by the end of this year or beginning of next year, then we have another huge advantage to Europe. So with all this, we can pick up and run very fast, not like big countries. It's a tipping point for this country.
I got one of the business delegates from Denmark. Just tell us, what sort of business opportunities you are looking for with Sri Lankan business delegates?
We are in the LPG filling business, where we have potential customers here in Sri Lanka already. We are already established with a factory in Sri Lanka, assembly factory. Furthermore, we are within the energy business with power, where we have through our Sadelmi Power in Italy, we are building power plants from small to large power plants. And then we also have developed bunkering systems for LNG, especially for the maritime sector.
I got another business delegate from the dairy sector in Denmark. Please tell us, what sort of areas are you interested in Sri Lanka?
Apart from the dairy sector, I'm very much interested in helping Sri Lanka in the coconut milk industry. The dairy sector have all the equipment necessary for making value-added products to the coconut industry, because you have to, traditionally from your desiccated coconut, you have to move up to value-added products, which is for export.
The Chinese ambassador in Sri Lanka, Yi Xingliang, says the country wants to see the strengthening of the country's economy in the near future. He made this observation when he addressed a media briefing at the Chinese embassy in Colombo yesterday.
We need the economic activities in this region, even in whole Sri Lanka. So we should upgrade the Sri Lanka economic level. So right now, your GDP is about $70 billion. I remember while Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe visited Beijing, he had meeting with Chinese President as well as Chinese Premier. Both sides agreed that China will help Sri Lanka to establish your basic industrial system. Because, as what I said publicly and a moment ago I said to MTV, you will have 20 million people population. You will have 65,000 square kilometers territory. So how about your size in the world? You always say we are a small island country. No. Sri Lanka is a big country. It's a great country. You have good culture. You have long time history. You have qualified legal system, skillful people, education. It's okay. If you have a comparison with other countries, so you should be a middle one. So you should be proud with of your culture, history, and your conditions. So why you deem yourself a small or tiny island? So I worked in the Netherlands for 8 years. Dutch people always say Dutch is a great country. Dutch is great. The Netherlands is great. So based on this idea, I do believe Sri Lanka need and can have a basic industrial system, not only to meet with your need, but also to meet with the need of some other country. Right now, globalization, international trade becomes great and great. How about Sri Lanka? You can't be one part of it. If you lose right now the current state's window, you will lose in the next 20 years. So right now is the time for Sri Lanka to develop your basic or general industrial system.
Moving on to the latest from the US election race, US President Barack Obama has urged voters to lend their support for Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. Here is our segment on US election battle for the White House.
US President Barack Obama, at a campaign rally in Columbus, Ohio, admitted his former Secretary of State had made mistakes during her time in public service, but said she was a fundamentally good and decent person who would make an outstanding president. Obama's speech comes as the Clinton campaign deals with the fallout from the FBI investigation into new emails that may be connected to Clinton. Opinion polls show Clinton's lead has narrowed slightly since early last week, but it is too early to say whether the email controversy was hurting her.
You have to stand up, reject cynicism, reject fear, reject meanness, choose hope, 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 vote. Vote! Vote! If you do, we will elect Hillary Clinton president. We'll elect Ted Strickland senator. and we will continue this amazing journey, and we will finish what we started and show the rest of the world why this is the greatest country on earth. God bless you, Ohio. I love you. God bless the United States of America. Let's get to work.
Meanwhile, U.S. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump urges people who voted early for his Democratic rival to cancel their ballots and switch to him.
This is a good time to make an important public service announcement, because a lot of things have happened over the last few days. This is a message for any Democratic voter who have already cast their ballots for Hillary Clinton and who are having a bad case of buyer's remorse. In other words, you want to change your vote. Wisconsin is one of several states where you can change your early ballot if you think you've made a mistake. A lot of stuff has come out since. So if you live here, or in Michigan, or Pennsylvania, or Minnesota, those 4 places, you can change your vote to Donald Trump will make America great again, okay?
Time now for a look at Asia in a minute.
A speedboat carrying 93 Indonesian migrant workers from Malaysia sinks off Batam Island, killing 17 of them. At least 3 persons are charged to death and 10 others injured as a fire breaks out in a residential building in Indian capital, New Delhi. At least 2 people die and several more are missing in central Vietnam floods. Japan market down to 2-week low on US election concerns. The Nikkei fell 1.8% to 17,134.68, the lowest closing price since October 19. It was the biggest daily drop since early August. Crown Prince Mahawajiralongkorn is to be confirmed as the new king of Thailand on 1st December. Once confirmed, he is expected to endorse a new military drafted constitution and to start appointing his own team of senior royal officials.
Come back to the news. The price of fish has come down along with the supply of high fish yield to the local market. Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development announced today that wholesale and retail price of fish has come down to a considerable level at Paliagudi Central Fish Market. The management of Paliagudi Central Fish Market claimed that this was the first time that such a high fish yield was reported in the island compared to previous years. It has been reported that fishmongers are facing difficulties in selling certain fish varieties as a result of the price decline. The price of a kilogram of sea fish has come down to 850 rupees from 2000 rupees, while a kilogram of kelavalla is being sold at a price of 400 rupees. The current price of a kilogram of koppara is 600 rupees. Parau 650 rupees, balaya 200 rupees, tuna 580 to 680 rupees, hurula 220 rupees, salaya 60 rupees, linna 140 rupees and kumbala 180 rupees. Fisheries Ministry anticipates a similar high yield of fish in the next few months as well.
In the meantime, new houses are to be built for Ranayaka landslide victims with the financial assistance from the Senhesya Pata Fund. The relevant MOU was signed with the participation of Senhesya Pata social aid program stakeholders today, and a foundation stone was laid to build the Senhesya Pata village with 30 houses at a cost of over 380 million rupees. The construction work will be carried out by members of the 3 armed forces. Deputy Minister Karunaratne Paranavitana has signed the Media Ministry and signed the MOU on behalf of the Parliamentary Affairs and Mass Media Ministry and Defence Ministry. Dialogue Asiata Company, Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Disaster Management Centre, Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and Associated Newspapers of Ceylon Limited were the other signatories. Following the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding to build houses for Ranayaka landslide victims, Deputy Minister Karunaratne Paranavitana expressed his views. He said that the state media institutions have rendered a great service to make this initiative a success. These houses are to be vested in the Aranaka landslide victims within a short period of time, and it will be considered as a responsibility of the state.
Civil Defence Corps personnel are to be deployed as the railway gatekeepers. This was revealed by Transport Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva. As a result of railway gatekeeper strikes, several such gates are now being kept unprotected. 24% of railway gatekeepers are engaged in a strike unmanning 666 railway gates countrywide. Transport Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva told a meeting at his ministry in Colombo today that these workers were not attached to the Department of Railways. He disclosed that there were no financial provisions to join them in the Department of Railways, and all of these workers had carried out this service voluntarily. He further noted that the ministry has focused attention to build automatic railway signal systems, replacing 200 unprotected railway gates. Deputy Transport Minister Ashok Abesinghe and officials of the Civil Defence Labour and the Treasury attended the meeting. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva said that motorists and pedestrians should be more cautious when they cross the railway line at unprotected railway gates. Meanwhile, the Civil Defence Department said that around 300 Civil Defence Corps personnel will be deployed in duty at railway crossings.
And in a quick update from the stock exchange, the all-share price index closed at 6,429.04 points, increasing by 28.87, and the S&P SL 20 index closed at 3,600.93 points, also increased by 30.06 at the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was over 600 million rupees. Well, that winds up any local news. We have international news coming up next. And in our top international story tonight, chaotic scenes erupted in Hong Kong Legislative Council when two pro-independence lawmakers stormed into a meeting and tried to read their swearing-in oath. Yao Wei-ching and Bagio Leung, who presented a new breed of more radical activists moving into the political mainstream, had their swearing-in oaths delivered invalidated last month over language and a banner that was deemed derogatory to China. Hong Kong's leader, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying, signalled he might ask Beijing to use a rarely invoked power to interpret the city's basic law mini-constitution to end a political crisis over a fledgling independence movement. Any such movement will spark fears from Hong Kong's autonomy and vaunted legal system, officials, judges and lawyers say privately.
On sports news, the touring Sri Lanka beat Zimbabwe by 225 runs in their first test played at Harare Stadium today. Sri Lanka scored a mammoth total of 537 runs in their first innings. In reply, Zimbabwe were bowled out for 337 runs. Sri Lanka declared their second innings closed at 247 runs, giving Zimbabwe a winning target of 412 runs. They were bowled out for 186 runs in the second innings. They lost the match by 225 runs. Skipper Graham Trimmer top scored with 41 runs. Suranga Lakmal, Rangan Herath, Lahiri Kumara and Dilruwan Pereira bowled best for Sri Lanka.
Again, another call.
Well, that's it from Rupavahini News tonight. More stories tomorrow at the same time. Until then, good night.